Well, guys, thank you everybody for coming to join us today. We really appreciate it. I am so excited about our speaker. But before we get into the real meat and potatoes, I wanted to just remind everybody, Austin Women's Investing Group is always a free. Thank you for coming. We're based off of meetup.com. For those of you that have been around for a while, we used to meet at the library all the time. That was really confusing because we never knew which library we were going to be at. We never knew if they would override us and kick us out. So we are so lucky to have Dress for Success as our home this year. We can't thank them enough for the partnership. So if you have anything you'd like to donate, or if you'd like to go shopping, please help us support Dress for Success because we can't thank them enough. I just realized I haven't said my name, which is Casey Swartz. I'm Casey Swartz, and I'm one of the co-leaders of the Austin Women's Investing Group. I joined the group in 2013 when I first moved to Austin because I was looking for people that cared about money and talking about money, and specifically women who cared about that stuff. And I met Sarah Glakis, who was the founder of the group, and she joined us, she and I were friends for years and years and years. And then in 2023, I joined her as a business partner at the Black Barn financial planning and investment management firm that she had been running since 2014 or so. So we'd been like friends running parallel, and then we became business partners, and it's been the best thing ever. And as I always tell people, I also met the ladies who are the godparents of my kids at AWIG. I was talking about the expenses that we went through when we did IVF, and I met another lady who was just super pregnant at the same time, and our girls were born a week apart, and we've just been besties ever since. So lots of great stuff happens at AWIG, and it's because people need each other and the community components. So I encourage everybody to ask questions, talk to your neighbors, all of that kind of thing. And one of the first things that we usually do at AWIG is remind folks that this is not specific individualized advice. Those of us that are speaking from a professional background, we are here just in an educational format, not trying to give advice about anything in particular. Next month, now that we have this beautiful home at Dress for Success, we're on a good cadence of meeting on the second Saturday of every month. So you know when it is going to be, and you know where to be, and you know that Nina and Julie are going to have awesome snacks for us. Thank you. But next month, we're going to be talking about dividend stocks. So if anybody wants to put that on their calendar now, please join us. Our co-leader, Lori, is going to be speaking next month. So one of the things that we usually do at AWIG is kind of go around and quickly say how we found the group, what we want to learn. And we have a nice big group of folks today. So let's just start with that information. And then let's see, what was your earliest money memory? What do you think? Sure. Or an early money memory. Like, we don't have to get too specific, right? Jody, you're up first.
Okay, hi. Hi, I'm Jody. I found this group because Casey's been my financial planner for like a decade, and coming here is great. Every time I learn a lot. My earliest money memory.
Or an early, yeah, something.
I remember when I was little, I told my brother I would clean his room if I could keep the money I found, and I found $20.
Nice. Serves him
like
right.
Pennies and dollar bills.
Yeah. Nice work.
Thanks.
We're gonna spring it on you since you're in the front row. You're up next.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I was introduced to the group through a friend. And my earliest money memory was never ever being able to go out to dinner. It was like not a thing that we did as kids because it was so expensive, and just being told over and over that going out to dinner was too expensive. And now whenever I go out to dinner, I'm like, this is great.
Still enjoying the pleasure of it. That's awesome.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Burton, and Cynthia Riley introduced me to this group. And my earliest, I've just always been a saver. So that's kind of my memory, saver, not a spender.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
I'm Cynthia Riley. I know the group through my friend, real estate client, neighbor, Ginger, which is interesting because I knew Casey before I knew about the group, because she's also my certified financial planner. But I don't do Meetup, I don't do Facebook, I was in the dark. So Ginger brought me. And I've loved it. I've learned so much. My earliest memory is having what my friends and I call paper money. I'm from Iowa, one of the first states to have a canned return deposit. So we could get paper money. And you either had like no change, we can barely do anything, or you had paper.
That's a good one.
I'm Carrie, and I found the group through a friend who introduced me a long time ago. And my earliest memory is my mom clipping coupons, and then we could get like lots of really awesome things because she was really good about clipping coupons. So good money.
Nice.
I'm Mariah. I found the group through my sister on
Nice.
Meetup, and she knows that I like money. So,
Hey, girl.
my earliest memory, I mean, there's 10 of us. So saying we didn't really go out to eat, and my mom had to do couponing and budgeting, and she was a stay-at-home mom, so just watching her save money.
What a resume though. Kid, children.
Yeah.
My goodness. That's really cool. Thank you.
I'm Dion, her sister. I saw it on Meetup last year, and so I just started coming to meetings. I guess my earliest memories would be like my dad just telling us like to save money, and like to start a business and giving us advice, but not like the how to, because he didn't have any of these things. So I was like, oh, it's important to do it, but how?
Yeah.
So that's like, I guess for
And that's the big disconnect for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
I'm Samina. I found out about the group through Sarah. One of my early money memories is number one, the tooth fairy leaving money underneath my pillow, which was like amazing. I wish I had more teeth. But also like circling things in the old Montgomery Ward catalog. And, like, asking my parents like, what is, whatever, $18, a lot of money? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, that unlocked a memory. Yes.
Yeah.
That big JCPenney Christmas catalog.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Such a great question you picked today. I'm Ryan. This is my second time coming. I found out about the group because I volunteer over there at Impact Barrel. New shop over there. It's phenomenal. And I was like, oh, what are they doing? And then, yeah, I can't get enough of it. I love to tell people I'm in the Austin Women's Investing Group.
Yeah, you are.
So my childhood memories revolve a lot around my parents, and I mean, one main memory with my mom is after my parents were divorced, we'd shop at TJ Maxx, which back then that wasn't the preferred place to shop, and it wasn't. We put things in the cart. Before we would check out, she was like, "What are the things you really love? Those are the things we're gonna buy. That's what we can afford," and that kind of instilled a bit of like, I don't know, guilt a bit of just kind of going forward as like, but yeah, technically that's a good lesson. And then the other memory is a little bit of a confessional. Since we are going to psychology, my dad, he always saved money in like a big jug change. He would just put his change.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so as a little kid, that was very tempting.
Oh, yeah.
So he had this giant ceramic pick, but it didn't have a plug in the bottom.
Oh.
So I would pilfer quarters and go up to the record bar, if anybody is that old, and buy records. And the second record I bought was an Olivia Newton-John record, and my father was like, you've got a lot of money lately. How are you getting money? And I think my face folded. So that's a lot to unpack there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Layers.
I'm a little thief.
We're gonna sneak attack you. We are saying who we are, how we found the group, and if you have an early money memory.
Sure. Hi, I'm Evelyn Carlson. I found the group through my mom and Davey's sister, who took Sarah's class at UT a few years ago, or many years ago. And one of my early money memories is that my grandfather would give me a little bit of money for my birthday, but he would tell me that I had to use it wisely. I couldn't use it at Starbucks. And so anyway, that was a good reminder. I'm Peggy, Peggy Berker. I met Sarah through the classes at YouTube. So really that is one of my favorite money memories in our family is my dad giving us money that we couldn't spend. So it was money that had to be invested somehow. So, you know, it would be a check and it would say, for your raw. Which, you know, really got us all going in the right direction.
My goodness, yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
Right now.
I'm Melanie. I found a week through Meetup, probably 2018, accounting. And probably my first money memory is my dad always used to say there were 6 of us, and he used to say, you know, pay your bills first, save some, then you can spend.
Yeah, pay yourself first, great idea.
My name is Laura, and I found this group through a male friend of mine who's a client of Blackburn Financial. So we were talking about money with him. He said, hey, I know that you might be interested in something. An early money memory I have is when I was growing up, my dad was in the Air Force. So when I started school, we were living in England. And I knew like British money. And then we moved back to the States. And I just remember having a lot of anxiety about like, what's a quarter worth? What's a nickel? I don't understand. And like going to the store when you have money to buy something and always wondering if it would add up to be enough.
Yes.
So I still think about that sometimes. Having to learn different money, you know, in third grade.
Geez, I would not have thought of that, but you're absolutely right. How confusing for children.
Not anymore. They don't
Yes,
exist.
literally pennies don't exist now, yeah.
My name's Sandy. I don't remember when I met Sarah or Awig, but it's been like probably a decade or longer. I don't know. It blurs, you know,
It does.
at that point. My first money memory is I was probably 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. And my parents were doing, it was bill writing day, and they were disagreeing. It wasn't like a heated argument or any bad, but I just remember like my mom stayed with my mom and my dad was the one who worked, and they were disagreeing, and I was like, I'm gonna have my own money, so I don't have to disagree with anybody, and that set the stage for the rest of my life.
Man, that's a good idea.
I'm Carolyn, and this is my first meeting. Katie and I are friends, and so she talked me into coming today.
Thank you, Katie.
And one of my first memories about money, I was thinking about that. My grandparents, and at the time I didn't really understand it, would give me for my birthday and Christmas savings bonds. And so my dad would take me to the bank. We would go to the bank, which would have been the safe deposit box, and I didn't realize the importance of that until I went to college. With some supplementing from my parents. But
Nice.
a pretty big majority of it, but that was back when, a long time ago in school days.
I'm Katie. I'm a client of Casey's for over a decade now, and thinking about, I have lots of money memories, and a lot of them were good from my family, the lessons taught, but the one that stands out for me that has influenced me probably the most is that we basically were taught to view credit as something radioactive and not to be touched ever. And so both my sister and I have always used that to kind of inform how we think about spending and money, what we buy. So that's a big one.
Good one.
I'm Shawnee. I found this group probably, I guess I'd seen it on Meetup, but I hadn't pushed the button, and my friend tried to talk me into coming last time, so that was number 2. One of my earliest memories, I guess, was I really, really wanted a new pair of boots when I was in like, I don't know, 2nd grade or something, and so I kept saving and saving, and it took a really long time. And then when I got ready to buy the boots, my mother worked at a shoe factory and she was like, oh, you can't buy those boots. We can only buy things made in the US. And I was like, well, I can't afford anything in the US. So she eventually let me buy the boots from Taiwan, but it was like a long time saving for those.
Yeah. It's a lot to put on a 7-year-old.
I'm Valerie, and I found this group through Meetup, and it was a long time before I actually got around to coming to Meetup. And I'm trying to be a regular every month, because I like it. It's fun, and it's informative, it's helpful, and it's got me thinking about my investments and what I'm gonna do for retirement and things like that, so I like it. My early memories are my parents went through World War II. My dad was in the British Army. My mother lived in England and spent her teen years in bomb shelters and things like that. And yeah, so, and her father lost his job in the Depression and there was very little money. So they learned to be savers when they had money. And they learned not to spend money on things you don't really need. And they learned not to use credit very much either. So as a result, yeah, and they clip coupons. And back in the day, they had S&H green stamps. That you get
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they collect, my mother would collect all those and get items. Yeah, right. So anyway, as a result, I'm a saver.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I have coupons, of course, on the phone now with HEB and various places. So yeah, so still the same memories that I'm living day by day. And as a result, I feel like, and people are like, you know, how do you afford blah blah whatever? I said, I'm a saver, you know, that's how. And if I need something, you know, if some catastrophe happens, like I had a car wreck last year, but I was able to go out and lease a vehicle because I saved the money. So I'm making car payments now, which I didn't have before, but oh well, you know, life happens. So thank you.
I'm Erin. I found the group through Meetup pre-COVID. I don't remember what year it was, but that's like the marker for some reason. The first thing that came to mind when you brought up the question was my parents brought all of us as kids to the bank when you used to go to the bank and opened up a little savings account. You had the little register that you would write your, you guys remember that? You'd write all your money in there when you got allowance and put it in the bank. It had a little plastic sleeve. And I just remember having that. I probably still have, but I just remember that. But it's kind of funny thinking about it, that was kind of the extent of the talk about money, was like, you should save. Here's your savings account. And that was kind of it. So.
Back row.
Brenda retired, so just it's a different mindset on money after you retire and regular working years and memories. I never had any, so I didn't know what to do with, didn't know how to have to worry about it.
There you go. We are introducing ourselves and how you found the group and if you have an early money memory.
Okay, I'm Catherine. I heard about you guys through my friend Leah. Early memories, my parents always had a rift with money. My dad liked to save, mom didn't. So it was just a real rift between them, and it was always childhood memories of money were negative.
Hi y'all, my name is Shania and I learned about the group through Dress. Early money memories. I would just say my mom always saving.
Yeah.
She's still the same too, always saving. Yeah. So I learned about that.
My name is Shay. I found out about the group from Cynthia Riley. Hi, Cynthia. I'm sorry I showed up late. Early money memories was maybe going to garage sales on Saturdays because clothing, we're not going to pay retail, we're going to buy resell. And so I did a lot of garage selling growing up.
Oh, I love garage sales.
I'll echo that too. I'm Casey, and I found the group during COVID online, and then I've been, trying to come when I can ever since. And yeah, early memories a little bit mixed because we same like garage sales were a big part of our cultures too, but then they also were like, but you have to live for today too, and like it's okay to do something fun or take a vacation or celebrate a holiday. So kind of it was a little bit confusing, I think, as a young person. I just knew it was important because it was like, here's your checking account. This, this is important, but also spend it too. So, figuring that out now as an adult, the balance has been interesting, reflecting backwards. So.
Absolutely. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Bisha. This is my second time here. I'm here because my daughter Paulina. Memory about money. I really don't remember about money, but I remember when I made my first money. I was about 7 years old, maybe 8. I don't know. I was selling wild daisies that I picked on the sidewalk because I wanted money, but I don't remember all that. But that's when I started my first own business.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Paulina. I was learned through the group through LinkedIn networking. And my first money memory was, so that was in Poland, my mom's talking about, she picked a daisy. So when we first moved my mom moved to the US, she was here a couple years before we were, me and my sister, she would send me $1 with a letter, right? And there was a store in our town, we could buy stuff with $1. And I was so excited because I was like, American money. It was communist, it didn't have much, so that $1 was very exciting. That's my first memory.
Nice.
I'm Mary Ann. Been coming about a year or so through, and I found out through a neighbor how this meetup group. My first memory would probably be getting an allowance of it was $1 a week, and I remember saving and saving and saving, and I don't know how much I saved, but I just remember counting it, and finally for Christmas I bought my mom and dad a cassette player with the money, and I just remember how proud I was that I could buy it. I don't know if they even used it, they probably did, but 70s.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I found the group through Meetup, and I also have negative memories because my parents would always fight. My dad was extremely frugal, and he was an immigrant. My mom was bipolar, so she ended up spending a lot, so we would fight a lot about that.
My name is Leora Pearson. I came to the group for the first time right before COVID. All my early money memories associate with math. That's what I remember, like counting coins and stacks of often. We used to have to take I guess you can still do it, but like take the stacks of coins in the machine and get it translated dollars or something. That was fun.
It is fun. Counting coins. Yeah. Lori can pick you up on the way around.
Our early money
An
memories.
early money memory. Yeah.
Well, my dad was very frugal, so we didn't spend a lot. We didn't like go out to eat every week or anything like that. Like on road trips, we didn't stop at any gas stations or anything like that. So as an adult, I was like, should I do that? And my son, I let him do that, and it's kind of weird. Like you shouldn't be allowed to do that somehow. But yeah, I can remember doing garage sales where we would make money for summer vacation, which usually only because my dad had like a conference to go to, so we would go because of his conference. So I didn't really think about money. I just knew, we were very frugal with it. Yeah, we didn't spend it on a lot. And so my dad, as I saw him as like an older person, as an adult looking back, like he would not spend money on himself, even if when he was old and couldn't really do things like clean the gutters and stuff, he still would not spend money on stuff like that.
Back row,
Oh, hey.
you're up.
Yeah, well, the thing that popped into my head was the same thing with the fetal parent. But this was as a, you know, slightly older kiddo. Trying to wrap my head around what our family was. And also, you know, anyway, I said, how much money do we have? And he said, none of your business. And that put me in my place, and I'm, you know, I mean, the man, it was all a surprise when he died.
I heard about the group through Meetup, and I've come to 2 or 3 sessions with them. Yeah, my family, it was kind of like money was not supposed to be important. We weren't supposed to talk about it, although my mom was very frugal. She was raised during the Depression, and there were 6 kids, and they just didn't really, I don't think they knew how to deal with money. You know, I mean, they always had enough, but they could have had a lot more if they invested and stuff like that. My dad would never do his income taxes just because he hated dealing with money. Kind of pass that on to me, although I do my income taxes. Mine are pretty straightforward, but yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Did I miss anybody that wants to go? That wants to go? Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Helen. This is my first time here. I came to know about this program with my friend Julia at Dress for Success, and I love it. I feel like my first memory of money is probably when I was younger. My mom used to own a nail salon, and so I was basically like her cashier and her mini accountant, and so I would like always get like tips from customers, and I would save it up, and then we had like a dollar store next door, so I would just go and buy little toys or something, and it was just really fun, like opportunity to remember for me. So.
I'm Julia. I found out about this because I work for Dress for Success Austin. So actually my first time here though. I hope to make it more regular. But one of my earliest money memories, similar to the coin counting, I had a piggy bank, and my dad every day when he came to work would have like a pocket full of change that he would give to me. So I would have that. I'd fill up that piggy bank. Sometimes I'd take it out and count it just for fun. But once that was completely full, we'd take it to like the coin deposit. And then I don't know where it went, but that was just like a fun little interaction that I had. And it kind of like also reflected a lot of like, I know my parents were talking about money amongst themselves, but whenever it came to us, like, many of them were like, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. I'm like, no, I want to tell me what you're thinking. But that was just like one of the plays there.
Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I would like to introduce our speaker today, Cynthia. Cynthia. I think just unplug something. Okay, good. And I have you set up here, so you can just page up and down. Wonderful. This is your presenter view. Oh my God, this is what we will see. I think so. And luckily for me, we have Julia here in case I break it. All right, thank you, Cynthia.
Does everything have to stay unplugged or stay plugged in all the time?
I assume so. So right, Julia?
There'll be no pacing for me here.
Not back there.
We'll see how it goes.
Pace up front.
Yeah, look at my screen. Awesome.
I have plenty.
There's some here too. I just grabbed one of them.
Awesome. I have old notes from a past slide here, or past presentation.
We would never know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder who I was talking to when I was talking. All right, so there's something called the expert conundrum. I forget the proper name of it.
But it's very hard to explain something on a basic level once you already know it and have it in your brain. It's hard for me to explain what financial therapy is. I get really wordy. The shortest version is the why of how people interact with their money. It has nothing to do with the how. It is not Casey's job. There's no financial advice. It's more like what you all just did with your brains when you were reflecting back about your first money memory and then taking it to the next step. Oh, how is that impacting the adult me and how I'm rolling through life? And then normally what brings people to therapy is when they're not liking how their behaviors, their thoughts, their beliefs are working out with their relationship with money. And a lot of it ends up being tied to some often developmental trauma. Does anybody have any specific questions about what is financial therapy? Yes, Ryan.
When would someone seek it?
It's really interesting who is showing up. It's mostly when they are feeling stuck between what they feel like they know on a logical level is a way to move forward and then what they're doing. So it tends to be money avoidance, spending when they don't really want to, beyond the impulse moment of the spend. I heard Jennifer and I heard somebody else say, I'm a saver. Like they identify with pride and I am labeled. This is my self-image. This is how I see myself. I'm having an interesting run of people who are now in what they're calling, the professionals call decumulation, the decumulation phase of life. So I've saved, I've done a great job, I'm ready for retirement. Now I'm supposed to be spending what I've saved. And a lot of people are having a lot of trouble with that, especially if their core identity is I am a saver. Turns out spending can be really hard for people. So it's an interesting mix. Sometimes it's relational, which we heard a little bit of, like I'm having trouble interacting with my partner. And people tend to pick partners that have a different style. And that can be really hard because we all, just the way brains are wired, we believe our beliefs. They are facts. So how I function with money is how one should function with money, is what a lot of people believe. And it makes it really hard to have a rational conversation with your partner about it. To me, the best example is how often people fight about loading the dishwasher. I do truly believe that my way is correct. I really do. And that my husband is just not educated on it. If I keep explaining it, he will eventually see the reality because I believe I see reality. I don't understand, on an emotional level. I'm filtering, I'm taking in what I can take in. I have these old beliefs. They're just beliefs. So it can get tricky. Anybody else?
It's like I've had grief talk therapy like after losing family members, and I'm wondering if financial therapy is a similar format to a traditional therapy, or is it like a specific modality with its own style?
Great question. It is just like regular therapy, so it can be done in many different modalities. My favorite is EMDR. If anybody's familiar with the weird and wonderful world of EMDR, it is a trauma-based kind of sensory processing way to look at money stuff. What I do in first sessions, often when people are visibly uncomfortable, they don't really know how to launch, is an early money memory, like you guys just did. Because it really does prime your brain to think about, oh, my experiences matter, my influences matter. They are impacting how I'm rolling. Did you think that was fun, doing that thinking?
And hear other people because it reminded me of so many things.
Me too. One thing I heard several people say that I really wanted to jump on, it's not the talk today, but how many of you, if you could show by hands, believe that there was some memo that everybody else got about how to handle money, that you think other people know how to handle money and that you are somehow less than, like you didn't get the education? Some of us. Almost no one has money education, but we think other people know something. we're all starting from the same space. If we really didn't get this information. Money is a bigger taboo than sex. Most people's parents, regardless of class, they're not talking about money with their kids. They're saying things like, this is none of your business, even if you're part of the household. Which is amazing, right? There's a study where the scientists are out in public somewhere stopping strangers and asking them, I think the question is, how much you make versus your favorite sexual position? And people would rather answer the sex question. Wow. Yeah, it forced me. Any other questions? I have a question for Casey. What time are we gonna run to? Forgot.
Yes. We're gonna go to, if you can get it to 2:15, including the question.
Right, okay. Be great. All right. Yes, ma'am.
I was wondering if you could talk a little louder.
I will try. I am a mumbler. My mother is so loud that I have this reactionary thing I do where I go quiet. I will do my best. I was that kid ashamed in a grocery store from my mother screaming at me from the other side of the store.
I'll come up.
Oh, thank you. That's very generous of you. And I will try. And I take reminders, so you can tell me the same thing 5 times.
I'm so sorry I had to ask.
No, it's great. It was a good ask. So I'm gonna try to spacebar.
Either that or down button.
Down button. All buttons. Page down. So what did you pick? Page down. Page down. Okay, fantastic. So this one, am I standing in the way? Can you see around my head?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I took a screen capture of what Casey showed us last A-Week. This is Casey's final takeaway after her genius, because Casey is a genius, and she was talking about your safety, your security, your planning for the future, just through a different lens. And her last 2 focus on the quality, staying engaged in your life, and run your own race. Don't let FOMO ruin your life. I believe in JOMO, like the joy of missing out, the joy of just doing things your own way. So kudos to Casey for being a genius certified financial planner who is smart enough to know that the mental health side really matters, and it's not just about the dollars. CFPs are doing a really good job, by the way. Every time they make a change to their exams, they add more mental health questions. They really do understand at some deep level that not all of the financial universities do. The mental health part is huge. Kudos to you. My other wise money guru is a woman named Sarah Newcomb. I think she's a behavioral economics person. Maybe it's psychology kind of modified, but her PhD is somehow money related. And she's at Morningstar now, and she's a really good talking head. If you consume information through podcasts, she's great to listen to. So while I respect and appreciate all that Casey does for me to secure my future, Sarah also says, is it really reasonable to believe that you could feel safe? Because your brain will most likely what if itself into something that leads you to feel unsafe, because your brain is amazing and it will come up with what ifs that no amount of saving is going to take care of. So my theory is we can attack this 2 ways. We can work with cognitive skills to try to jack up your feeling safe as you're thinking about your money. That's good, great, let's do it. And also, we can accept that money maybe can't do everything for us. And we can do some tweaking to try to get our security needs met beyond the tool of money. So, feeling unsafe. Of course you feel unsafe, because you are designed to feel unsafe. You are all really wise women, I have no doubt, with fully functioning brains. And your brain, from the beginning of time, has been scanning for danger, looking for what might get you, planning, dealing, trying to stay alive. For most of human history, we lived in a space where that really worked for us. Great. The species got to continue. But now we are wired to do this thing. And it makes us feel unsafe because that's what we're paying attention to. So we are going to do some tweaking to just the default mode of thinking. And to normalize, money is a tool, right? And money is a great tool for a lot of things. But why would a fully functioning human try to make money the focus tool, the only tool, or even the goal?
What other safety things are you thinking about other than
You're like so smart. You're like talented and gifted. Gosh, you're like 3 slides ahead. That's good. But it's the idea that people love you and will look out for you. The idea that you have skills, you have personal resources, that you can find your safety in many different ways beyond money. There are lots of problems that money is really not a great tool for solving. But we ask money to keep us safe in all realms. Like, I want money to build me a beautiful retirement. Great. But my beautiful retirement also relies on me being physically healthy, me being connected to people I care about me back, that kind of stuff. So we tend to focus on the money part, tend to focus on the number. How is money going to get me where I want to go? And it impacts how we think about where we want to go. Because it's easier, it's measurable, it's concrete. It feels safer to my brain to think about something that I can wrap my head around. To think about the bigger, mushier, squishier, more challenging concepts, it's trickier. So sometimes I default to thinking about the money because I can. Also, it's what we hear in the world. When we talk about safety, when we talk about retirement, as a society, we tend to talk about money. We don't tend to talk about who our friends are and what they're going to be as part of our lives when we retire. Our focus is generally money. How is that idea hitting you? Is that feeling like a thing? Is that feeling like something you experience?
So if I'm upset, I go to my spreadsheet.
So you can feel a little
control. It's just so delicious. I can go in there and look, it's got little numbers in it and I've got it color coded and graphs pop up and all sorts of things. It's very soothing.
Absolutely.
But I'm actually currently reading a book called How to Retire for the second time around because last time it didn't sink in at all. And the majority of that book, although it's edited by a Morningstar person, the majority of that book is not about the money side of things. It's, right, what am I going to do all day?
Who wrote it?
Christine Benz is the editor. She interviewed 20 people who have some expertise in the area of retirement. Some of them are financial, but others are, the last person in the book she interviewed was a hospice doctor. And it was fascinating because he was talking about what people talk about in their last part of their life and what was important. And none of that was money. Not one part of it was money.
Fascinating stuff.
So,
Yeah, but how can you think about that if you don't have enough money? Like that, right?
Yeah, it's only important.
So
if you don't have enough, then it is important.
So in one of my favorite modalities is called dialectical behavior therapy. And the D of dialectic is the notion that with mature grown-up brains, we can hold 2 competing truths at the same time, both as true. The dialectic of that. So money absolutely matters. It's an essential tool for a lot of things. And also, money doesn't matter for everything, and there are other things that are not money-centric that could possibly matter to you. So I'm not saying don't listen to Casey if you earn money. I think it's a great thing to do. I'm saying, and also ask your brain to do more complicated, squishier work as well.
Have you read or are you familiar with the book Die with Zero?
Yes.
That book completely changed the
Can
way
you
that
tell
I
us
love money.
why it changed how your brain worked, like the awareness you got out of that book?
Well, the premise of the book, as I understood it, is that what you want to do is essentially die with zero, which is not to say to like disinherit your children or whatever, but to spend all the money that you want to spend and to have the experiences that you want to have at the end of your life. And one of the things that really shook me to my core about that was that I had always been told that I needed to just like save money and work really hard and not spend money on things that were frivolous. But here's the author of this book is like, when you're young and, you know, able and untethered enough to like go backpack through Europe, you should do it because your earning potential is as low as it will ever be, but your ability to go around Europe and sleep on people's couches is like, when you're 40 and you want to go see Europe, it's going to cost a lot more because you're not going to want
You're
to
gonna want your own bathroom.
Yeah. I should go on a ski trip with my dad because he's probably not going to be able to do that for that much longer. And I should do like these things that are really important to me because money can come back. Doesn't always, but it can. And time will never come back. And that was really shocking to me.
And what your brain just did was change your goal.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like your dad kind of had the idea that the goal is to have a lot of money, that the money is the goal. And you were saying money is a tool to reach a different goal, an important tool. Your goal is to have experience and live a certain kind of life and have richness in other ways. Yeah. The goal matters.
It's funny because now when I like pay my bills, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so whatever. Like then I tell myself like the money is doing its job. This is what the money is for, and that's helpful.
Absolutely. Has anybody done any kind of goal tweaking intentionally or unintentionally that impacted how you save?
Probably 20 years ago, I was just having my second child and my dad got diagnosed with cancer, and he'd always like save. Like he's like, you know, I have to save for retirement and all this stuff. And I was like, man, you might not get to do anything for retirement. And I just like took a bunch of money out of I didn't take any money out of my 401k, but I kind of thought about, I don't have to just, you know, keep putting so much money in here. I need to enjoy some of my life because you never know, like.
That shift. Amazing.
It's called Die with Zero.
I can't remember the name of the guy who wrote it. Bill Perkins. Bill Perkins. Bill Perkins. Bill Perkins died with zero. Oops. So back to the default wiring mode, I just wanted to point out a few of the things your brain is doing. And your brain means well. I am not saying this critically. Your brain really is trying to help you out. And sometimes default mode is fantastic and really serves you. The idea is that through cognitive skill development, you can have more control over choosing when you're in default mode and when you want to step out of default mode and use your brain differently. Has everybody heard about the negativity bias? I think it's pretty out there. You're scanning for danger. You've just got this human brain. It can't take in all of reality. So what comes into your brain tends to be the negative stuff, the dangerous stuff, the scarcity stuff. And it lights up more of your brain when it's in there than the positive stuff, because your brain is built to deal with the negative stuff. Confirmation bias is just like building on top of that. So you have these beliefs that were formed from childhood, like I should be a saver. If I'm a saver, I'm a good person. Good people save. And then you go through the rest of your life, and without intending to, because your brain is a meaning-making, pattern-seeking machine, it's pulling in the information that agrees with what you already believe. So you're pulling all of this confirming data out of the world, and you're not seeing the other information, like maybe Dad should take a ski trip. It's not registering. This explains a lot of your politics stuff too. When people you know and love are making choices that you think I don't understand how this can be. Your brain is filtering for something that was already in there. And I think everybody also knows the hedonic treadmill, yes? No. Thank you. Give me a chance to say it. The hedonic treadmill is the idea that we get used to whatever state we're in, and our natural urge to strive for more, strive for better, strive for change will limit our appreciation of whatever it was we just got, and then we'll want different more. That striving is just part of humanity. It's very hard to be content. It's very hard to feel enough, because that is the opposite. That is feeling secure, and it's not a mental state. If I'm 20 and I go backpacking through Europe, I can stay in a hospital that smells like urine and has 50 people and it's really loud and whatever. I can be grateful for that and I can enjoy it tremendously. But then once I get used to having a little bit of money and I get used to having a little bit of comfort, I have to keep climbing. I have to keep moving up. I can't go back to, like, my 56-year-old self can't stay in the hospital. Because I have done this climb on my treadmill to a state of wanting more and more and more, and I'm well past that.
So it's kind of like people are always
Like
living and spending up to their limit.
It is very much about lifestyle creep.
Lifestyle creep. Okay, that's a new one.
We heard that one.
No.
And it's really a challenge because it's wired into us to want to do more, better, to continue to grow, to continue to strive.
Do you think that's cultural? Some societies, in some
With $1
parts of the
trillion
world.
of marketing coming at us, I think it is cultural, in addition to wiring, absolutely. And there's, the FOMO thing. And Casey wisely said last AWAVE, what did you say? Comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah. There are all sorts of influences that keep us pushing and wanting more.
What if you, this is happening to me because I'm about to sell my house and I'm about to live in a little apartment. I just want to look at one and I actually crave less simplicity, but it's also kind of traumatic. It's like a little bit of both. And I am moving back with my lived lifestyle. I'm moving forward with my bank account because I'm getting older and I'm afraid that the equity is going to be gone in my house. Anyway,
So interesting.
What is that?
What a brilliant example. I think what you just said is the answer, because you are phrasing going to a little apartment as moving backwards. There are influences in your brain that tell you that's less.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's not less.
Yeah, and like you said, I have to really, it has been kind of traumatic in some ways. Like it's been a lot of, trying to reframe.
Yeah. Are you imagining, like, what would my sister say? What would my friend say?
Oh, my sister, I know what she would say. Like $1 million, and I mean, she lives in a very, very nice house. She would know, and her biggest fear is to live in an apartment on I-35. I just heard her say it. That's what I'm about to do. But, anyway, so yeah, it is a little bit of that. Like my family would not approve.
Yeah, so people would judge me. And comparison is a big deal to human brains. We are tribal. We are meant to stay safe with each other. We are not meant to live alone in the universe. We're not tigers. Comparison is one of the things your brain is doing, asking, am I safe? Am I safe? Are my people going to be there for me? Are my people going to accept me? Or am I going to be shunned out in the world alone to be eaten by something? Comparison is your brain trying to keep you safe in your tribe. But it's not a great tool sometimes. Yes, ma'am.
And you can also, in that, when she made that comment about how she's feeling, moving backward, even though she had from a house to an apartment, people tend to they live above their needs. And that right there, I mean, if you don't have enough money to sustain a house and the all the repairs and damages and all of that, it seems like logical to downsize.
Yeah.
But it, you know, you gotta not think about what people say.
Which is a very hard ask, to not think about what people say. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to add, I think one of the things that was helpful that my mom, who's financial, taught me very from a young age, taught my sister that, was she was very clear to distinguish. A lot of people when they start learning about money, they might hear the terms worth and net worth, and she would emphasize that your net worth, your worth in the financial sense is not your worth as a human being. And I think that helps you be able to keep in mind that money is a tool and it's not your identity, it's not your value, it's not anyone else's value.
It's not your goal.
And it's not your goal. And so a book that helped me framing, like for me, it's just getting formal models. It's like, but it was Tony Robbins' Money Master the Game, which is a little bit. Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay. Well, I recommend. I know there's like issues around Tony Robbins, but I still think the book is worth reading. It's because I think die with zero implies having some other values, like going for zero waste. I think the idea of optimizing for experience is still good. But to me, I thought Tony Robbins, his book is more, it's kind of put together as like a workbook to work through. And one of the things that he walks people toward is imagine their dream life. So a lot of people have heard of vision boarding and stuff like that, but to do it in a pretty financial way. And one of the things that he challenges you to do is literally put a number, like a number that's enough to have the life that you want. And it's like literally the life that you want, not like what you imagine you could have, but like no dream big. And then you talk to the realities of what it's actually cost. And so like if you someone's like a house or an apartment, like based on your values, so it makes sense to go for an apartment versus a house. But I think like keeping those things in mind, your net worth is not your worth as a human being, and then like about the life that you want comes to the own values instead of the what you see in the media or whatever your money bias is. Like don't think about money bias. Think about what money you need to get to it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And it sounds also like a lot of bandwidth and energy in the course of the day to be reminding yourself of this very important wisdom and information. Because the default mode is not that.
Yeah,
and sometimes we're default.
Yeah, you have to work on that.
You have to work. Yeah, it is a work. So on this topic, when you don't want to just float through life on your default mode, what do? The number one thing to do is awareness, also called noticing. And I don't want this to sound like not a big deal, because this is the big kahuna. This is the thing that matters so much when you can actually become aware of your why and what you're thinking. You open up the possibility of choice. I can now use all of my wise brain to decide what I'm going to do with this next. I don't just have to float along out. Be curious. Curiosity is magic. Unrelated to this, by the way, if anybody is feeling imposter syndrome, which is kind of a thing, kind of not a thing with research now, if you show up to the space with curiosity, if I'm feeling uncomfortable here, I'm going to be curious. The people you are interacting with will read that as confidence. Curiosity is magic because it's kind, it's not judgmental, it's learning first. It is just a beautiful way to interact with the world and with other people. Here, what I mean is with yourself. If you can do the work of trying to be more curious when you're having those conversations in your head about how you're feeling, about how you're planning, That is not being judgmental. Being curious has no should to it. You're listening for learning. So when the voices are going at it in your head, you're not judging them. You're not telling them to stop. You're just listening. And you're trying to get as much information from your own head as you can. And curious and respectful listening is also just a really easy way to live. It's good for your physical health. It's good for your outcomes. You tend to have more productive movement in the direction of your goals when you're not attacking yourself with judgment. We believe that having like mean bosses in our heads telling us what to do, that's effective. Research says not so much. And there is this fascinating thing brains do. There's the empathy you show third parties and the rest of the world. And there's the lack of empathy you show yourself when you're talking to yourself from that. Anything you can do to move your self-talk in your head to be more like how you would interact with any other human being, that tends to be a win. So curiosity is a great tool to move in that direction. There's some subparts. So just, if you're listening to learn, ask yourself questions. And then the third tool we're going to talk about is control, which we heard a little bit about. The magic and great feeling that is feeling like you've got control over some things. So that's all three of those steps can be helping us move in the direction of just feeling a little safer as we are planning for retirement, as we're maybe experiencing retirement, as we're thinking about retirement. Great. The last one, which is just considering your language. Maybe my goal is not to feel safe. Maybe my goal is to build a more meaningful life. If you move your language in your head to something that lets you have more wins, more concrete thinking, more evidence-based research of how you're going to get there, it can be really helpful. Because if your goal is, I want to feel safe, there's not a lot of little wins in that to keep going, to motivate you, to give you dopamine hits. So if you can language it in a way that lets you have more wins, great.
I feel like we tend to use the word, I'll get there. But when I get there, I'm trying to get there.
Like there's a destination, a
oh my
moment in
gosh,
time.
like that is some of the most destructive language we can possibly use. So,
but it makes sense, right? Like,
yeah,
I
like
be done thinking about
I never
things.
thought feeling safe was kind of like, I'll get there. I'm like, you're right. Wow.
And we're never going to get there because we don't control enough.
And what's there anyway?
The future is unknowable. Yeah. That's an excellent point. There is no destination. There is a scholar, I think she went to K-State, Casey's alma mater. Megan Brooks, she's at Georgia now. She really reminds people when she's on podcasts, it's financial planning. It's an active verb. It doesn't get done. You're always working on financial planning. Don't think there's going to be a moment where you can stop trying. What am I seeing here? Oh, this is me talking about aware. We did that. So what do you guys do to be aware? When you catch an autopilot thought, how would you do it? Everybody has some skills, some coping mechanisms that they've developed to get this far in life to become more aware. Brains are endlessly creative too. That could be all over the place with how you have caught some thought. Do you hear it in other people? Do you see it on TV? Do you journal? Do you get things from your friends?
I've been meditating for a long time, maybe 15 years, and I never really saw any, like it was just something that felt really good in the morning, and then I went on about my day. But over time, I've caught myself realizing that I just had this thought, and it surprised me. And recently, it's not related to money, but I think it's related to everything in my life.
Everything's related to money.
Right.
I was about to look at myself in the mirror and I knew that I was gonna have a bad day because I was feeling bloated and my body wasn't perfect. And I was gonna look at myself in the mirror and criticize myself. And before I even stepped in, I realized, why? Like, who is this person doing this? And I've been doing this for all of my life, of course, right? But unaware. And it surprised me that I could actually catch myself like questioning it for the first time in my life at 50 years old.
You used curiosity.
Yeah, I was just like, who is this thought? Like, who is this voice? And so I attribute that to maybe years of meditation, but it could be something else. I don't know.
got there.
Yeah.
Awareness is amazing too, because once you have it, it's like riding a bike. You don't unhave it. It'll always be there.
I second meditation. It completely works.
Does it maybe slow your brain down? Does it maybe make your brain kinder? What does it do for you?
Well, I am type A and cannot stop thinking. And don't get me wrong, I'm a terrible meditator. Not that there's anything. Not that
That's the most type A thing you could ever say.
There's definitely not supposed to be a terrible meditator. Any meditation is good, but it has changed me a lot.
But what a gift you just gave us. Like you're having a conversation in your head out loud. Meditation works, but I shouldn't claim it. Like it would be bad if I claimed it and I'm not perfect. So I need to acknowledge that I'm not perfect. And
It totally, I see myself doing that a lot, like, right, I get, and I also, like, I'm a lot kinder than I used to be, like, for everybody, like, in a line, I'm like, oh, they just move, get out of my way, and then I'm like, you are okay, it is fine, and I'll be like, and I'll even say to people that I'm like, they're driving me nuts, I'm like, I love you. That is so hard, and I'm like, and then after I say it, I feel so much better. I mean, they can take their time. They're doing a great job. But anyway,
that's awesome.
It's definitely.
There's a row of 3 of you in my sideline, so we'll just start the first row and run back.
All right, first of all, I get exactly what you say about being a bad meditator. I totally understand that. Totally. It's a co-type A personality. But anyway, there was a New York Times article, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago about just sort of noticing things to be more aware. And it was to point out things that delight you and name it. Delight. And so my husband and I started doing it like as a joke. And now we just do it. Like when things are delightful, like we're like delightful.
That is a very specific way to flip off the negativity bias.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for things that delight me. Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, so I have anxiety, but sometimes the voice in my head is not very direct. Like I don't really have a voice in my head. It's more like a feeling. And I feel like that took me a long time to I knew that I felt bad and I knew that it was coming from inside, but I didn't know it was I think when, awareness, we think it's this direct voice, but for me it wasn't, and I feel like that helps.
Beautiful.
Nice work.
Okay. I came in a bit later. This is my first one of these. I didn't know we'd be talking about. Whoa, are you talking about this?
But you're thrilled, right? Because it is interesting.
It's what I did not expect, but it did say the psychology of that. So yes, we are not. So not really knowing it, I grew up, I have ADHD, sprinkling of autism, and grew up with so much anxiety. And it became clear when I had to actually approach integral change. Even more clear that when I just asked my girlfriend, just throw away all my sewing patterns, I don't want to sew anymore. I don't have any joy in taking anything. She's finding joy in the hobby. She's feeling so sad I couldn't even react. Something to go into putting out a picture or something. So I actually started taking antidepressants. And as soon as they kind of settled within me for a while, it's like, wow, usually this situation would give me a lot of worry and kind of be stewing about this and be strongly, Yeah, I get played off.
Oh, I didn't know.
I love it.
Tell Jennifer who first is in the office.
Sad for the room already. But yeah, I kind of just approaching and getting educated that way. And even before having like years of therapy and finally getting medicated with this, I just started observing, wow, the way I approach this is a lot different. Like I can actually think about, okay, instead of thinking about the entire day wasted, I was just relaxing. I could tell myself I was relaxing. I can push myself to just try things. Like today, I tried actually meeting up with volunteering for like my community garden mulch today, and that's something I would not do. It's like, oh, you know, the garden, it feels far away, but now medicated and just kind of now looking at things of I should just try them.
So it could be that you're biologically more available. It's just a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I can reframe things where, okay, that opportunity is not gone forever. I always just looking at it as it's gone forever.
So the one for everything, our brains tend to, when they're in a tired state, when they're in a default state, do more simplistic thinking. All or nothing, black and white, is easier for your brain to think about than the more complicated. There are more options here. I can see this another way. So if you're in a state of depression and you don't have a lot of bandwidth, it would make sense that you would be more likely to do some catastrophic all or nothing thinking, because that's what you have available energy-wise. Makes a ton of sense. So, listening with curiosity, we covered that. Anybody have any questions about the concept of listening to learn? Imagine you're in the couples therapy with your brain. In couples therapy, what happens is people are taught how to listen to absorb, listen to learn, because we tend to just wait for somebody to stop talking so we can explain how to load the dishwasher properly. It tends to be, I'm not absorbing what you're saying because I'm so focused on my belief in my rightness. So listening to learn is an amazing skill, not just for your self-talk, but for anytime you're interacting with another human. But it is a skill. It's a practiced skill. And most humans overestimate their quality as listeners. We underestimate our quality as communicators when we speak, and we overestimate our capacity to be good listeners. The best thing you can do to build friendships going forward is to work on your listening skills. If you are a great listener, you are most likely the only great listener in your colleague's life, in your friend's life, in your relative's life. It is a remarkable gift you can give somebody if you choose to work on your listening skills. But particularly in your own head for yourself. You don't need to be right. You need to be absorbing and learning about the perspective that's coming at you.
I might be crossing the previous topic with this one, but like I have a toddler, a 1.5-year-old at home, and I go to a mom's group, and one thing that comes up a lot is even though logically everyone with a little kid knows that in life they will probably grow out of whatever phase they're in and whatever your struggle is today is not going to last forever, but it does feel black and white, kind of like what the previous lady was mentioning. And so what is that going on in your brain where you just like you know logically it will end and it will change?
So that is such a good question. So it's the same thing we talked about earlier, where it's a bandwidth problem. You can't do complicated thinking when you're exhausted. It is also a present sense impression. We believe that whatever we're thinking now is a permanent state. whatever we're experiencing now as a permanent state. It's one of the reasons that makes it hard to say for retirement, because our future self is a stranger. Who we are now is who we are, and we can't conceptualize in many ways that later person is still us. Your brain just is very focused on the now. Also, in whatever example, depending on what the 1.5-year-old is doing and how you're feeling, when feelings and logic are in conflict and you have a big feeling, logic doesn't matter. Feelings always win. Big feelings will fill up all the air, take all the space, and the logic goes away. So in that moment, your job is to try to get regulated, try to feel okay, try to take space and time so that your emotions can come down off of the, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, so that other parts of your brain could do something. But when you have a big emotion, they're offline.
Just because I can see like the lens I'm learning about being a mom of a young one and how it also feels similar to making money decisions. When all the decisions now feel really big and important because it's not just me and my husband, it's the child down the road. We're gonna be, Yeah.
This is a really nice segue into the next line about taking the time to label your emotions granularly. Who knows the feelings wheel? Yay, yay, yay. Duck under again. So I am practicing my feelings wheel. I have a feelings wheel teaching. Every time I get in the car, I ask myself, what am I feeling? So that I can practice paying attention to my feelings. Paying attention to your feelings is amazing, like we were just talking about. It's how you are getting information. It's that curious listening. It's paying attention to what's going on in your brain like it matters. Granularity is kind of a scientific catchword that comes from a woman named Lisa Feldman Barrett, who is just an amazing scholar. She's so interesting. She just got a new website too. It's a bunch of videos. It's great. So she says, when you take the time to give your feelings very specific, granular, or very specific labels, you are allowing your brain to go through its file cabinet of past experiences and understandings and influences more effectively. For example, if I'm mad and I go through my brain filing cabinet for all the times I've been mad, that's a mountain. Like, I'm not getting a lot of data about how to respond to what I'm dealing with right now, because I can't realistically shift through the mountain of mad to get to something that's useful to me. But if I'm using my feelings wheel, taking the time to label, and I realize I am frustrated and trepidatious and embarrassed, those are easier for me to get to when I'm going through my mental filing cabinet. For the times I have had those feelings in the past, I recall what I did, how I did. It's just more effective. The other thing you're doing is you're taking a beat. It takes some seconds to do this mental work. And that's allowing your physical self to regulate, which is very helpful to bringing other parts of your brain online to serve you. Anybody buying this? And it's remarkably challenging to practice, at least it has been for me, to really pay attention. Like this morning as I was driving here, I think, ooh, I'm anxious. I don't talk to groups. I thought, am I anxious? No, I think I'm excited. But it took me a minute to get to excited. So, what do you think? Would you be willing to write down feeling words? When I think about retirement planning, I feel. And feel free to get your phones out if you want to see a feelings wheel big, so that you can look at all the words. This feelings wheel is free, available to anybody, and also has a button at the bottom if you don't like the colors. While you pull it up, peer pressure can be your friend here. If you want to put a feelings wheel on your fridge, if you want to put a feelings wheel on a pillow in your living room, if you want your kids, your spouse, your colleagues, your cousins to pressure you, so you can then pressure them to label your feelings, peer pressure can be a really helpful tool when you're trying to learn a new skill.
That's the city that people made.
Is it still too tiny for Shabab?
Oh, just, oh, really?
There we go, spin around, okay, look. Right. Are you truly worried or are you something else? And you are not limited to one word. You can feel complicated feelings that need more than one word.
Just think about you.
I know, right?
You feel supported, you feel helped.
No. I don't know, these words all feel so final, like, it seems black and white.
Interesting.
Can you be more than one color?
Yeah, like, why
Yeah,
can't
you can have all the colors of the rainbow. You are a complicated person.
That's what I feel when I do the feelings wheel. It's weird that you can feel two absolutely opposite things at the same time.
Could I pressure you to change your word choice?
Okay.
It is amazing. Your brain is amazing. It's nothing to do with you. May I ask, was this difficult? Did anybody feel challenged trying to label, trying to think, okay, what am I feeling? Lori says yes. Was anybody surprised at what they actually picked word-wise? Not what you started with. A little bit? Yeah, Tania.
I feel like I'm so surprised that I didn't know how I actually felt about it. Because I felt like I just didn't have as much control as I wanted. Just because, like, I'm like, I don't know if my health is going to feel.
And is control not where you started? Is
I
control
think
where
I
you
started
ended
with
up?
fearful.
Fearful went to a control thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
That seems like a great journey.
well, wouldn't education come into that to help with some of that? And that would maybe alleviate some of that because there's so many unknowns that's what's causing that. So educating and understanding what might come up, that might help alleviate some of that.
Absolutely, but she's got to do the very difficult thought work of figuring out she's fearful before she can aim herself at a tool like education that would be helpful. If she's fearful, she might end up just swirling, not knowing what to do next because fearful feels too big. I don't know what to do, I'm fearful. Oh, but I want more control, I want more this. Yeah. Anybody want to share their words? Yes, ma'am.
Think about retirement planning, I feel insecure. Retirement, I feel nervous.
Great words, but you have a lot of feeling in them. Another just factoid about Lisa Feldman Barrett, another thing she studies is the power and value of having a word, because there are some feelings that we don't do a great job labeling. An example is whiplash. In Sweden, there is no word for whiplash. When they get in a car crash, they believe that they have a muscle problem somehow, and then they do PT and they get fixed. Great. In America, we believe there's a concept, because we have a word called whiplash, that we could feel bad for the rest of our lives after that car crash And we have a way to conceptualize all the ways we could feel bad inside the word whiplash. And the research shows, going on into the future, a Swedish person statistically is not going to feel as much pain from their car crash as we do, because we were able to think about it differently. And in this case, it's not super helpful. In German, there's a word for having a punchable face.
Wow.
So you are able to understand how you're feeling about another human differently than an English speaker is, because we don't have an easy way for our brain to get to that feeling. It's fascinating. Did anybody else have a big, interesting difference between how you're feeling about retirement planning and how you're feeling when you imagine your older self? Jarred at all? Yes.
Well, with retirement planning, I'm pretty much past that, but it was, I felt overwhelmed, still feel overwhelmed. There's just too much. And you don't know what's coming around the bend, so how do you plan for retirement when, you know, you might have long COVID or something? But the old me got me pretty fascinated, and I went to, in retirement, which I'm already facing right now, is excluded, exposed, inferior, and frightened.
You've got some cultural problems, don't you? You've got
Seriously,
living in America problems.
I live in a country with ageism, and I'm slamming up against it on a weekly basis at least.
Yeah. It is really a cultural tragedy. The resources we lose as a culture because we choose not to value them. We choose not, it's that lens thing, we choose not to see them as valuable. Ugh. All right, let's move on from the wheel, but I do hope you make the wheel part of your life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip through this because it takes a long time. Will people get slides? Do they want slides?
Sure.
If you want slides, I just ran through a demo of Toyota's 5 Whys. I think was the first generation Toyota from the car people. You ask yourself a question, why am I doing this? You ask yourself, what am I feeling? You answer it, and then you do that again and again and again. And if you're doing it with open curiosity, you can get to some really interesting stuff after the 5 Whys that might be helping you be more respectful to your brain as you watch the journey it took to get you there. You might have new insights, new awarenesses, and you might open other options. Maybe. We'll not do one of these just for time. Locus of control. It's like a cousin to self-efficacy, agency. Have you all heard the concept locus of control?
No, not with those words.
Not with those words. The idea goes that, there's a line. We're all on this line somehow, this continuum. Over here is external locus of control. I'm a victim of my life. Things are just happening to me. I don't control anything. Over here is I'm in charge. I'm controlling my destiny. I'm a player in my own life. I'm driving the bus in my life. We're all somewhere on this line. I bring it up to encourage everybody to find out where they are. At the end in the resources, there's a questionnaire from 1966 that's still validated for checking your locus of control, and then working to nudge yourself in the direction of a more internal locus. Why does this matter? How is an internal locus of control helpful?
Have a sense you can do something about things.
It's really motivating. If I don't feel like I can do anything, I'm not going to do anything. If I have an overwhelmed feeling like I don't matter, it's very hard to take the next step.
There's actually studies with children. When you tell them that you are smart, and then they think that I'm just innately smart, and then the people that are not innately smart think that I'm not, and therefore I am. I'm born with it, like personality. Some people think personality cannot change, but it can. And so if a kid believes that I'm either smart or I'm not, then why would I bother to try? And so it's more of like, as a parent, I was taught effort. So I don't say, hey, you're really smart, you did a good job. I say, wow, you tried really hard and I saw the effort you put into that. And that teaches that kid, oh, effort will change my outcome. I have agency over what happens.
What a fantastic example. Malcolm Gladwell writes about this. There's some research that kids from certain Asian communities, not Asian American, Asian communities, they test better in math. But when they dig into it, they find they spend more minutes on the problems than the other kids they're looking at. It's exactly what you're explaining. Effort is what is helpful to be measuring and to be growing. This hits very close to my heart for people I love. There's a concept of the academic cliff where you have been a talented and gifted kid. You've done really well. Sometime between 7th and, I can't remember the end cutoff, maybe 10th grade, you have to start putting effort in. The curriculum has gotten harder than your natural gifts. Some of those kids can't pivot. Some of those kids can't learn how to study because they have absorbed the message that they were innately smart. And effort looks like failure. Effort looks like giving up the label, the self-image of being smart. And they don't learn how to study and they don't continue to succeed. But other kids who didn't wear the I am smart label learned how to study early days. They know how to continually expand and grow. And they end up with a different life.
I taught at a private school here in Austin, and at the end of the year, they would give academic excellence awards and most improved.
Nice.
And if you think about it, like, hey, which one do you want? You want academic excellence, but really it's the most improved, which is the better, proof of life. But I've always found that to be so, maybe it changed since I've been, I just always found that to be saying the wrong thing. It's effort. I think they called it the effort award, but yet it still fails next to the excellence.
Greg Walton is a guy at Stanford who wrote an amazing book whose title is escaping me now, but it includes a lot of information about this and how we are incorrect when we're doing job interviews and we're asking for people's GPAs. It's a better measure of your success in the work is the trajectory of your GPA. I don't care what the cumulative is. I care what the arrow looks like because the person who had a challenge, was resilient, figured out how to get tutoring, figured out how to learn something, pivoted, did that again and again and again, that's going to be a great employee. Next. The studies of locus of control are amazing. Like what it does for you is such a great thing. Anything you could do to grow your locus of control, grab hold. So back to my not Casey guru, Sarah Newcomb. I was so taken by what she said in the podcast. I was walking, pulled into the shade and wrote it down. And so she was like stream of conscious talking. She wasn't her usual artful self like when she writes, but I thought it was great. She said, the people who, I think that's an error I made, had internal locus of control, even when making less than $25,000 a year, they were having mostly positive experiences with their money. So income matters, but the feeling of being in control matters more. They had more joy, peace, satisfaction, and pride than people making six figures who didn't have a more internal locus. That's really hit me. So money matters, of course. You're right. Money is a really important tool. Emotions matter.
I was going to say that the host is Brendan Fraser.
But not be Brendan Fraser.
Oh, okay. I like that.
There's
multifaceted.
There's a scholar who has a quote that I just love. Change your story, change your life. We have all these beliefs in our head, and if we have the awareness to question our beliefs and shift them in a way that is effective, to change your life. His name is Jonathan Adler, like the furniture guy. I was like, nobody's gonna believe this. It looks like a furniture guy's talking. So deep, so deep. All right, so the Harvard Happiness Study sounds a lot like what somebody in this section was talking about earlier. A book that included a hospice doctor. Was that you, Kate? Yeah. So this is the longest running human study ever. Like they keep having to get new people to lead it because they die or retire.
Oh wow.
So the current guy wrote a book, which is great. And he has a lot of takeaways from watching these guys for almost 100 years, watching their families, watching their grandkids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the takeaways are relationships matter. When they look at their bank accounts, that is not the key indicator for a life well lived. Health, there are a bunch of other things that matter, but strong relationships is the #1 indicator of feeling like you're living your life well when you get to your end of days. And he has, different sections in the book, and there's a, quick checklist. To me, this just reads like a locus of control manual. Look around for what you control and then just do more of that. And to me, it feels better than trying to feel safer. I can dig my teeth into showing up once a week to something. It just feels more concrete and more manageable to aim myself at those specific tasks. It's like not being overwhelmed. Like feel safer. I get overwhelmed by that. I don't know how to do that. This I can understand. What's a purpose project? I think it's like I'm gonna mulch the community garden. It's like having a task that is a purpose that matters to you, engaging in it, hopefully with others to completion.
I've heard it called unicorn time.
Ooh, unicorn
time. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that lights you up. For the third one, yeah, the purpose project.
That has to be searchable. There
Right.
can't be that many unicorns.
Yeah, it's unicorn time. Yeah.
So we just popcorn, just a few hands up. Anything like swimming around in your brain now. Oh, I could do this. This could enhance my locus of control. This could be one thing.
I mean, being here.
Yay! That was like a good thing to say.
Yeah, I was thinking of asking you to be my therapist.
I would love to be.
All right, great.
Well, anybody else?
I guess just changing, like my own relationship with money is that I'm finally trying to do something to figure out what retirement looks like because I'm close to the age when I'm going to either be forced or will choose to retire. And I struggle still with like, I have all my money in Monarch and I look at it and I go, oh, I spent too much, but I don't seem to be able to change my behaviors. And so that's kind of where I am right now. I'm looking at it, I'm aware of it, but making those changes is just very challenging.
Yes, it is. It's like everything Casey tells us to do, and it's everything psychology tells us to do. It's really pretty simple. The stuff I'm talking about is not rocket science. It's pretty simple, but it's not easy. And saving for retirement is not that complicated, but it's also not that easy. I think you're spot on. Maybe AWIG will have us back sometime to talk about what your brain is doing when it says, I'm spending too much, this is too hard. There's a lot swirling in that. Did you hear all the judgment? I think for me personally, I think just writing stuff down, like from my head, like all this floating around and then finally just getting it on paper. I think I was listening to Mel Robbins and she was saying, write down everything that's on your mind to do a resource list. Your best therapist is your journal. Yeah. And I think that helps just to wrap your head around like wow, this is like ridiculous, this list, like you can't physically do all this. And then you could have your learning that way. And then you could squeeze that empathy gap. You were starting to treat yourself a little bit nicer, more like you would treat another human, recognizing this is crazy. Nobody can do that. That's beautiful. This book, opening up by writing it down, is by a UT professor. His name is James Pennebaker, and he's done almost all the research on journaling. And it is so validated. It's much like locus of control when they look at like what journaling does for you. It impacts your health markers. It does so much good for you, and not just in the mental health arena.
Can you hold it up?
Yes. If you get the slides, it'll be at the resources at the back. And then I also put in the resources, there's a 2-page handout from the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine where they kind of summarize it. You can get it for free. James Pennebaker, Pennebeaker. There's another guy, but I don't remember his name. This Pennebaker will get you there. He's got a bunch of those. So I just have a few minutes left, so I want to pivot to feeling safer is great. We talked about a lot of tools to do that. Awesome. Cherry pick the tools, by the way. Don't feel like you have to use every tool all the time. Decide what you want to try on, experiment. Run it for a few weeks, see how it goes for you. If it's a tool that works, great, keep it. Try another one. If it doesn't work, shuck it. Try a different tool, see how it works. This is the idea that feeling safe maybe isn't your goal. Maybe your goal is building more well-being. Those are words chosen by positive psychology as sort of an industry, as an empire, led by the University of Pennsylvania and Martin Seligman. And there's a lot of great research about the pieces that you can put together to do this work, to build more well-being. And it's nice because it gives you something concrete, like having a beautiful spreadsheet. You can see growth. You can get the dopamine hits of having small wins as you're doing whatever you're doing. It's fantastic. So well-being has 5 parts. The acronym is PERMA. My beef with it is a lot. For those of us with ADHD, it can feel pretty quickly like overwhelmed. So pick one. Start with 1. Don't try to PERMA. Maybe just try to work on relationships. Think about your values. Just one thing. A small change makes a ginormous difference. Don't think you have to have massive growth in all the PERMA areas to really feel the impact of whatever it is you're working on. And there is so much out there. If you like the PERMA idea and you want to explore the PERMA idea, and the University of Pennsylvania website has 1 billion self-quizzes you can take that are fascinating about pieces of PERMA and well-being. And it's not directed specifically at retirement, but it's all very relevant to thinking you're doing. Resources. Yay, we're done. Questions?
What do you think about aggressively friending?
I love that. I love that.
I love it so much. So if the Harvard study says relationships matter, and PERMA says relationships matter, if all the research says relationships matter, and we are AWIG, if we are heterosexual, we are most likely going to outlive our partners. We need to do a better job elevating friends as important in our lives. Important means giving time, giving attention, giving patience, putting up the crap, coming back. In couples therapy lingo, it's ruptures and repairs. And what we do now is we have a problem with a friend and that person's not our friend anymore. We go shopping for another friend like they're not important. Prioritizing relationships is incredibly valuable to your well-being. And as females, I think friending is a really big deal. The Times article is great because it says, do this aggressively. Don't do this politely. Don't expect somebody to be like an equal partner in building a friendship where you ask them out and then they ask you out. And then you do one thing, you are aggressively friending. You are coming after people. You're the one who's saying, I understand it's not. I'm gonna do the heavy lifting. I'm not gonna expect equality in this relationship for a while. It's cool. So yes, so true too. I love it. I could do that. I'm aggressive. Yes, ma'am.
Cynthia, I just want to add another resource that for me is like framing, and I think it also doubles down on relationships for like longevity of life. Of being mortal. Someone mentioned hospice over here, and for me, that's whatever someone mentioned hospice is the first thing that comes to mind with that.
Is that the hospice nurse who said the 5 things that she hears the most at people's end days?
No. But yeah, Being Mortal is a book I recommend.
Being Mortal.
And yeah, it talks about literally that tons of evidence of like building connection with people near end of life is saving all the medicine. Like the biggest thing is like people's connections. Like loneliness kills people faster than everything else.
So I'm reading a book right now that says the same thing. The scientist who wrote the book, his name is Ben. I've never heard it said, so I'm just gonna spell it Rein. And he says what you just said with fascinating research.
Yeah, this one has is full of research too. I think it's very accessible, but
cool.
So wait, you said the author is Rein.
Yes, first name's Ben, his last name is Rein. And then this book is called Why Brains Need Friends. I also wanted to put in a plug for not this page. How to Live a Meaningful Life. Dave Evans and Bill Burnett, I don't know how he says it. They, I think, were at Berkeley or Stanford, and they built a class years and years ago for their students who were kind of adrift, like, okay, we have this education, we don't know how to live our lives as adults, we don't know how to get jobs. And so they've been working on their system since then, and this is their 3rd book. And it's a lot of the perma Harvard stuff put into a more workbook kind of vibe, which can be pretty accessible, and they're good writers.
I think there's something that can make people stress out about the idea of being friends, and that is that they all have to be at the same level of friendship.
But it's a jawbreaker, right? Like I have different circles of friends.
There's a pyramid, so that the bottom level might be just people you, for example, if you always go to the same Starbucks and it's exactly the same time and you see the barista, would you call that person a friend? But no, you might start as an associate. They're just somebody that you associate with good feelings in your life. And that ultimately you have to have a lot of those from whom you then pick and develop the real intimate ones, and they're at the top of the pyramid. And I think that a lot of people in adulthood don't know how to do that. We just don't know. We forgot that skill.
Yes.
And there are some really good tools out there. Even there's one called the 8-minute phone call, which I really like, because people get worried about calling because they're going to get stuck on the phone, quote unquote. And I have a couple of friends who live far away that we send a text up for 8 minutes, and you each get 8 minutes, and that's it, and you're done. So in 8 minutes, you got to update each other on what's going on, but
That's
it does
great
do
idea.
something to maintain it versus sending a text every now and again, which is not friendship. Is it?
Well, it is. It's just a very
It's
outer
at
circle.
that bottom
Yeah.
level of the thing. So
The other
anyway.
tricky thing is to find a goodness of fit with friends who want to be at the level you want to be at, and be friending the same way with the same availability.
Which is why it takes more at the bottom of the pyramid, so you can figure it out.
It's why you need to be a little bit aggressive.
I was gonna say, I think one thing I found is that friendship takes work. Like healthy friendships.
Say it again louder.
Yeah, friendship takes work.
Say it again.
Like,
Yeah.
It does.
But it's worth it.
It is worth it.
Work well rewarded.
Friendship is a relationship.
Absolutely it is.
I think another thing for me is that I was been very intentional about relationships. For me, I was part of like overcoming depression that I struggled with for years and years and years. So I learned that like the unnecessary requirements come out depressive. So it wasn't connected.
So you saw friendship as work, but that was not a negative label to you. That was a really helpful tool.
It was
Friendships take work.
Yeah, I don't think of it as work. I've always been longevity focused, and I think you learn your keys, and that's when we learn about community. And so I think I used to be very picky about being friends with folks, and I've learned to relax it because I think it's just necessary to live well. Is to learn.
Katie makes a really good point that kind of piggybacks onto that too. Your barista matters. Those tiny little conversations you have with other humans are incredibly impactful to your system. You need that. When in doubt, compliment somebody who's a stranger at HEB. Just do.
Have HEB.
I think in Admiral, like for the deep relationships, one of the exercises I went through, like not well, I just was thinking through what are the people who actually reach out to me. Because sometimes when you're going through a tough time, you don't have the energy to be the initiator. And I feel like I like even for my friends with different biases, like maybe I don't like have the same hobbies or all the same likes as a certain person, but like I know who's the person who shows up when I have an emergency, who's the person who's gonna bring soup when you're sick. Like knowing who those people are and go up put a little extra effort towards them, even if maybe they are the favorite friend or something.
But they have different skill sets. So like a really good stand-up comic, you have given me the opportunity to circle it back around to where we started, which I very much appreciate. If you have those friends who you know have your back in certain situations, do you feel more secure? They're not money, but they help you to feel more secure.
Can we talk about the friends that only heart your comment and don't actually respond?
But I do appreciate where we're ending with this because so many folks here today said that a friend told them about AWIG or that they know a person that recommended the group. So if that person's here with you today, I hope you guys keep talking about this kind of stuff together. And if that person's not here today, this is a great opportunity to ping them and say, hey, do you want to talk for 8 minutes about what I learned today?
About aggressively friending.
And for those of us, yes, ma'am.
Are there other chapters in other cities?
No, we invented it. Well,
Did you invent it?
No, Sarah did. Sarah did. And whoever else invented it with her in 2011 is no longer here. So I don't know who that was. We'll say it was Sarah. Exactly. Sarah Glakis, who's not with us today. Her daughter's in a basketball tournament. So she's doing that.
She's building a relationship.
She is, exactly. And then the other thing is that for those of us that found it through Meetup, I hope y'all have gone through Meetup and found all the other cool things that you can do on Meetup, like with real humans, which is one of my favorites. I have so many different Meetup groups that keep sending me emails about things that I can go to and that I never get to go to. But I hope all of you are doing that. Lori, would you like to tell us a little bit about what we're going to do next month?
Yes, next month on the second Saturday, because that's our normal time now, we are going to talk about dividend stocks, dividend investing. A little bitty chunk of money that gets added to your account. What are the pluses? What are the minuses? How do you find them? Does anybody have any good suggestions for good dividend stocks they like or ones to stay away from?
Yeah.
So
I
if
do.
you have,
May 9th. I just looked it up.
And those of us who feel like we don't know dividend stock info,
that would be
we are going to
great.
fit into.
Yes, you totally will. We will go over what they are, why you would want them. Yeah, what kind of funds you would want. You might want them in your retirement funds because it's making money for you. You don't have to pay for that every year. So we're gonna talk about that. Basically how to break it down and what are some good ones and how to use them.
Yay, thank you, Lori.
And I want to say to continue with the friendship vibe. We have the Facebook group. And you guys can post whatever you want on the group and don't think that, oh, nobody's gonna wanna know this, or nobody's gonna see this. Like, I am about to pay off my car in June. I am totally gonna post that. To join the group, look for it. It's Austin Women's Investment Group, and join it and just put whatever you want out there.
Thank you.
Julie, do we have any Dress for Success updates you want to share?
We always have Dress for Success programs going on.
Yeah.
Point to that sign.
Oh,
Sale.
yes. So one of the things that we have, this is more on a less during the week basis, but our Circle of Impact is a group of ladies who join us, and they are both socially and financially invested in our organization. Y'all might not know what we do, even though we are in our space. So Dress for Success Austin, we support women to economic mobility. So this fits in great, but we have a variety of programs that go on every month. One of them that's really fun, and is last Tuesday of the month is our professional women's group. So that's networking, we have food, and we generally have a workshop as well. So kind of similar format to this, and that is at 6 p.m. on the last Tuesday. We are currently in the middle of one of our financial wellness series. So you're welcome to jump in on those. We also have that recording available. Those are on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Here physically, virtual. So the financial wellness is virtual, so you can access it wherever, whenever. But the live is virtual on Thursdays, 5 to 6 p.m. And all of that is on our website as well. So dressforsuccessaustin.org.
It's good. I've been in the first one.
Yay! A plug.